Welcome to our church. Welcome to Freedom Church. Welcome to Smash the Idols, Part 5. My name's Saz, and my job in Freedom Church is to look after our academy, which is amazing. And so I get a chance every week to work with some of the incredible people in our church that want to know God more and want to learn about Him and want to lead with Him. And so me and my husband, Dave Thomas, have been a part of this church for 10 years, almost 11 years. Best 10 years of my life. Pushing into a church that are going to challenge you and love you and laugh with you and adventure with you. And all of those that are joining in, whether you're joining online, listening to a podcast, you're watching this on TV, welcome to Freedom Church. You're going to get a taste today as you watch our event. You're going to get a taste of what it means to be a part of Freedom Church and to be a part of this family. But I want to begin by saying, I think there's one thing that every single one of us can agree on, no matter what our belief is. So I don't know how you're coming to this today, whether you're Christian, whether you're atheist, whether you're young, whether you're old. I don't know what your story is, but I think there's one thing we can all agree, and that's this. People are made to love. I think it's an agreeable thing, isn't it? You don't have to believe in God to believe in love. I'm a sucker for the romantic proposals that, come up on YouTube and Facebook. I love the love story. It's very, very sweet. I spend most of my time trying to see who is going to marry who and who can fall in love with who, but we don't do arranged marriages in Freedom Church. We're not that weird. I just enjoy it. But I believe it's part of how we're designed. I believe that actually falling in love and being in love and loving people, just loving your family, loving strangers, just the whole concept is a universal concept. And we're designed for it. But there's one step further when you become a Christian, and that's this, is we believe that we're made in God's image, and that's why we're made to love people. So in turn, we're made to love people. I believe that it's like an attribute of God. It's something of who He is that He's put in us. And we're designed to love people. Now, I saw a very, I don't know what the word is, fast, crazy version of loving people in my little daughter recently. I've got 3 children. I've got Eden, who's 6. I've got Adelaide, who's 5, and Bea, who's 2. And my little 6-year-old went for a play date at her friend's house. And she came home at about 6 o'clock. She'd had, a couple of hours there in the afternoon. It was great fun. You always remember those days, don't you, when you go and you play at your friend's house? Well, Ede ran through the door. She was so excited. She had this beaming smile on her face. She couldn't believe it. She was like, Mummy, let me tell you something. This afternoon, I learned about Jojo Siwa. Now, for those in the room, I've got some mums laughing. For those in the room that don't have a child that's a girl between the age of 6 and 12, you have no idea what I'm on about, and that's fine. You are so fortunate that you have no idea what I'm on about, because I know an incredible amount about Jojo Siwa. Here she is. This is Jojo. This is the young girl on the side. I think she's 14, 15. And she's kind of this pop idol, dance idol thing that exists right now in popular culture. She's got a YouTube channel. She's been on Dance Mums. She sells ridiculously big bows called Jojo bows. Anyway, you don't need to know any of that. I know it all. It wasn't about Jojo Siwa. This isn't about pop idols. This is about the speed with which my daughter fell in love with and became obsessed with a person. It took 4 hours, 3 pop songs, and a YouTube channel, and she is obsessed. She wants the bows. She wants a dog called Bo, because Jojo has a dog called Bo. She wants it all. She wants to wear the trainers like her. She wants to wear the fashion like her. Because although there's this thing in us that loves people, there's this thing in us that loves to idolize people. And you don't have to be a teenager to idolize. You can be 6 and begin to build the idol of people. Some of you will remember the days of Take That. Showing my age here. I got one of my team to make this slide, and she said, "Who's Take That?" She asked who Take That was. Oh my gosh. Okay, I was not the crier when Take That split up. That was not me. I was not that obsessed. I had some posters. I had their records. But I was not obsessed with Take That. But I know, and some of you will have seen it back in the day, or you'll see a modern day version, teenagers crying their eyes out because a band has broken up, Why? Because they idolize them. Another version, McFly, for some McFly fans. I know some people in this room who have been obsessed with McFly in the past. Not going to name them. I love them too much. But we have this thing in us, don't we? We have this thing in us that loves people, but we take it too far. We have an entire industry that's built on idolizing. There is billions of pounds worth of money that creates, that funds, that pursues us to build an idol in our life that's a person. It's a culture. Here's the thing. It's not just a Western culture thing, okay? It's not just here. Some of the examples I've used, you might not even know what I'm on about in your locations, but you'll have your own version. You'll have your own version of a celebrity. A celebrity is basically someone who's celebrated. And that's fine. You can celebrate people. I'm all for celebrating people. Skills, giftings, sporting talents, achievements, things that they've done in science, things that they've done in literature. I love that. I also love a royal wedding. There's something about celebrating, but there's something that we do that goes beyond celebrating, and it's idolizing. I believe that people are an easy idol to make because they respond. We love what loves us. We love it when we get the mention on Twitter. We love it when we get the like. We love it when someone who we admire and aspire to responds back to us because it fulfills something in us of this love. But let's just agree here. Having a person who's an idol isn't just a celebrity thing. It's a human thing. I'm not big into OK Magazine or Hello. I can't name you. I'd be rubbish in a pub quiz. I cannot name you famous people because it's not necessarily something that I fall into or I'm interested in. Oh, but I have my idols that are people. Let me tell you. I have people that capture my attention, and I want their affection and their affirmation. I want their response. I want their love. I want to be like them. I want their role or their responsibility. There's something about them that I just think, oh, if only I was them, or if only they loved me. We all have those people. We have them because it's human. We create an idol in a person when we worship them as if they were God. And we've got to ask ourselves the question, when it comes to smashing the idols, who am I worshiping more than God? Who do I give my affection, my attention, my action to? Who do I see and start to elevate? Because you can say, oh, I don't sing to them. That's only one attribute of how we worship God. It's about how we give our lives to him. I believe I worship God when I talk about him. I believe I worship God when I serve him. I believe I worship God when I post on social media about him. But we can do that about people, and that's worship. That's what it means to worship people. We have these people in our lives. We make them. We make them. But people aren't bad. God made people. People aren't a bad thing. Pastor was talking last week about coveting cars, houses, toy nights. They're not bad things. It's when we make them an idol. People aren't bad people. Well, no, some of them are. People in and of their own selves, well, you all are, in and of their own selves aren't an idol. We make them idols. Instagram is a massive part of culture today. There are people that have made themselves an idol on Instagram, but they can't be there unless we like them. They can't be an idol unless we give them that place. Because we make idols. It's like we can't help it. We want to love something. We want to admire something. We want to follow something. We're desperate for it. The Old Testament is full of this desperation in God's people to have a king, an idol, something they can interact with. Sometimes something that will appease them, not something that will be Lord, or be king, or be right, or be clear in their instructions. We run to idols that appease us and love us, and it's often a person. Because it's easy, isn't it? It says this in Romans. It says that they worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator. Humans, people, at the end of the day, they're created. They're incredible. gosh, I've got some incredible humans in my life. My husband is unreal. My children are absolutely scrummy and beautiful and crazy and wonderful. And I've got friends that wow me and amaze me with their wisdom and their leadership. I've got leaders in my church that do audacious, mad things that no one else in the world would do. I've got amazing people around me. I'm not saying that people are bad, but when we've got a creator, when we've got God, when you've got something beyond the fallen world, beyond fallen man, we've got something to worship, something to idolize, something to look to and be in love with that's far better than a person. But we do it. It's easy. People are easier to interact with God because they're mortal. You can see them, hear them, feel them. There's something of the flesh about it. Maybe they're satisfying. What an easy place to find purpose and identity and support and comfort. And God designed that, but he designed something far better. He designed a personal relationship with him, the creator. He gave us that. He gave us that. It's far above anything that he created. It's him himself. But we get caught. We get caught in this trap. But idols, they're established in one place. I mean, they exist in, culture. They exist in magazines or online. They exist in films and media. But I believe there's one place they exist. And the biggest place they exist is this. These men have set up idols in their hearts. We can't stop the onslaught of culture, the onslaught of media culture. We can't necessarily right now close our eyes and never see a billboard again. We can't, deny ourselves of all art and never see a film, listen to a song because maybe there's an idol there. Now, God's called us to be in the world, to experience and enjoy some parts of culture and arts and sport. But it's when that idol gets into your heart. And that's the bit that we have control of. That's the bit that we have to master and we have to rule, because an idol will make its way into our affections. The enemy isn't silent in all of this. He wants to get to you. He wants to give you something to look to other than God, because it'll steal our worship. He's desperate to do it. But I want to ask you this question more than anything. Do humans really satisfy us more than God? Really? Really? Like I said, I've got an amazing husband, but I spent years in my kind of college, uni, early 20s. There was a season where I had 3 boyfriends in a row, like no breaking. Just jump from one to another. I'm not proud of that. And do you know what it was? I was looking to be satisfied. I was looking to be liked. I was looking to not be lonely. I was looking to be funny enough or cool enough or worthy of companionship. I was looking to be cool. I was trying to find my satisfaction in a person. But it's not just about the opposite sex, is it? It's not just about that whole love romance thing. Sometimes we can try and find our satisfaction in a leader. Well, they've got all my answers. Well, if I go to their party, I'm enough. Well, they know what I need to do. Oh, well, I'm not going to listen to God. I need to meet with my leader because they're going to help me. Because this created thing has more answers than the creator. It's idolatry. We're looking to find some kind of answer in something that's fallen, in something that's created, rather than go to the King of the universe. But it's not a celebrity thing, and it's not a teenage thing, and it's not a love romance thing. It's an everyone thing. We all do it because our hearts are made for people. We're made to love, and we pull people into this idolatry place. We pull them into this position in our hearts because they're going to satisfy us. Maybe you want that recognition at work. Maybe you want that recognition from that opposite sex. Maybe you want to be in that crowd. Maybe you want them to say thank you. I don't know what it is, but we pull them into this place in our hearts that really is a place that God has to take over. We can measure whether someone's an idol. It's easy. It's like there's very clear measures. I mean, my daughter running into the house obsessing about Jojo Siwa, it was like pretty obvious. and the family have already brought the bows. I've just banned the YouTube channel because I checked out, here's one thing, just quickly on children. You need to check out who they're following. You need to check out who they're idolizing, because she might be 6 and I might think that Jojo Siwa is harmless, but I have to watch what kind of attitudes, words, songs she's singing over her life, because she's 6. Oh, and she remembers those lyrics. And so I just make a point of checking what my children are watching and listening to, because celebrity culture and the culture of idolization will work its way into our children as young as it can. I want to introduce you to my little seesaw. Here it is. I'm a carpenter. I'm not. Someone else did all this for me. But I want to introduce you to our seesaw, and this is going to be how we measure if someone is an idol in our life. This is going to be what we do, because I believe there are 3 really clear things that show that we've got some kind of idol. We've turned a person into an idol. And this is the first one. Our affection for them outweighs our affection for God. We give them our affection. I'm talking about our words, our gifts, our time, our love. We want to be around them. We give them displays, encouragement. Maybe we seek after that word from them. And idolizing people, I believe, is a two-way thing, especially when we're not talking about celebrities. We're talking about people in our lives, people in and around us, family, colleagues, friends. There's an interaction, and there's this desperation in us. There's a human nature thing in us to give affection, and there's a human nature thing in us to want affection. And we can begin that exchange of affection, giving and receiving, can begin to make us love God more. Love people more. It puts a weight in us that people, we give that affection because we want a reaction, because we desperately want that person to give back to us. And they become an idol. It becomes a tap and a source of affection when the Creator wants to give you that. The second way we know if someone's an idol to us is our attention is on them. We're desperate to give them all of our attention. You know the thing when you're like a young adult, sorry, young adults picking on you, and the hormones are crazy, and you go to that party, and all you do with your attention is think, will he see me? Is what I'm wearing okay? Is he going to talk to me? You play over the conversation in your head of like how you're going to say hi or what you're going to chat about, because your attention, everything you're thinking about and everything you're processing, you walk into a space wanting that attention. There's this thing in us to want attention, and we give attention. We give our mind, we give what we do with our bodies, we give how we dress, we give our words, anything to give and receive attention. And if someone in your life is taking so much of your attention, so much that it outweighs God, you're going to find that they're going to become an idol. Because there's this weight of attention that you give to them. I don't believe it's just a romance thing, though. I believe some of you work jobs where you're desperate to give attention to someone in your work, or receive attention from some kind of employer or boss. Maybe it's someone in the it crowd at college or school or uni. There's this attention that you give to them more than anything. Some people are so crippled by the need to give and receive attention from certain people, be them leaders, friendship groups, people at work, someone of the opposite sex, someone who's going to give you validation. You're so crippled, you're anxious without their attention. If you are anxious because someone doesn't invite you to a party, or someone doesn't give you a hello in cafe after church, or you're not part of some kind of WhatsApp group, if that anxiety grips you, you have an idol. Because what they have to say to you, the attention that they are giving you is worth more than what God has to say to you. You've idolized them. You think that they're going to be your answer. You think that this person's going to come in and that invite and that party and that WhatsApp group and that validation from that person of the opposite sex is going to give you purpose and identity. I tell you this, it's not going to give you anything. It's going to give you a momentary pleasing to your stomach and your lack of identity. But here's the thing, insecurity doesn't give up until God steps in. You will not feel secure in who you are. You're not going to feel secure in people groups. You're not going to feel secure in your job. You're not going to feel secure in your marriage. You're not going to feel secure in any environment if you're trying to get the attention of people. Why? Because people will not satisfy you. They are created. The greatest place my children can ever get satisfaction and identity and purpose is from their Father. The greatest place I will ever get attention and satisfaction and identity is God. And I had to learn it. And I learned it by being rejected. And I learned it by not being in the in crowd. And I learned it by going to God and saying, God, do you know what you are? I am who you say I am. I'm not the person because I'm at a party. I'm not the right person because I'm on a stage. No, none of that matters. It disappears because it's human and it's mortal. Your security, your identity, your attention has to be an exchange of you and God. Because people will fail you. The third way we can see if someone is our idol is our action. We allow our actions to be defined by their ways. There are groups of people that you will hang out with that maybe don't know Jesus. I was thinking of 3 examples of this, 3 examples I've seen in my life. And one is the family dinner table. I love my family, they're incredible. One is like maybe a family dinner table. One is something like a group of colleagues at work. Maybe it's the lads on the floor or the mechanics you work with or the soldiers you serve with. And another one would be some kind of, social group, like a friendship group. All those groups of people will have habits and actions. They'll have ways that they function. Maybe they drink too much. Maybe they swear. Maybe they smoke together. Maybe they gossip or they laugh about crude things. If we're a part of a group of people or a person, and we change our actions to be like them, or to be with them, or to be accepted by them, we're setting them up as an idol in our life. Because we're saying that their way of life, their way of thinking and functioning, their habits and their behavior is worth more than God's. You choose to give your sexual purity away because that person is going to give you validation. They are an idol to you. You choose to drink and get wasted when God says don't drink too much. Those group of people are an idol to you. You care more about their acceptance and their attention than you do God's. Because you'll morph into who they are. And I'm talking about sin, but I'm also talking about habits, behaviors. What if God's called you to something and a Christian member of the family says, I think you should do this. But God said. You change your actions to morph to people, you've got an idol. And honestly, as a child, it's the hardest thing when your parents disagree with you. But God trumps it. God trumps it. Our actions have to follow his call, because when they follow his call and we do what he says and we follow his word, we're saying, God, you're above everything. God, you're worth more than what people say. Lord, I care more about you. You are worth more. But you raise a person up to that place and you're raising an idol. And you're responsible for it. I think idols have a two-way thing. We choose what position they have in our hearts. But idols hunt you down. There are some people in our lives that want control over us because it gives them validation. It gives them an idle place. It gives them superiority. If you work in a job that has a very clear set of ranks or positions, you can still have humility in all those positions, but we're human. We fall pride to wanting to control people. We fall pride to wanting to lead people. And so some of us are stuck in this idol trap where the people are hunting down our actions and we're giving our lives over to them and therefore creating some kind of idol in our life. All these attributes, all these ways of living affirm a person as an idol. And we have to change. Because here's the thing, we have complete control over our lives. God gives us free will, it's our choice. So getting rid of an idol is our action, and it's our choice to make, it's our doing. We can do it. It says this in Jonah, it says, those who pay regard to vain idols forsake their hope of steadfast love. If we pay more regard to people, their affection, their attention, and we obey their actions in order to draw close to them, we forsake steadfast love. Dave and I have a marriage that's very honest, but I'm going to get my steadfast love from God. My husband is steadfast and he's loving. He's amazing, but he can't be everything to me. And I let him down. If he trusted in my love and my affection and my action, I'm going to let him down. You can't set your partner as your idol. It's not steadfast. People aren't steadfast. You can have an amazing marriage, but it's nothing. It's nothing compared to being in a relationship with the Creator. And the more I find my identity in my Creator, the more I find my action, my emotion, my affection, the more I put those in God, the better wife I am, the better mum I am. Because people can't be your steadfast love. Here's another thing as a parent. Your children can't be your idol. They're going to let you down. Because we find this thing when we love something, we elevate it. And some of us have elevated our kids. We've elevated our kids above what God said. We've elevated their dreams. We've given up everything to see them dream, which is incredible. But what about church? And what about God? What about disciplining them? And what about teaching them the ways of the Bible? And what about saying no? Because we can't elevate our children to this place where they're everything. We can't elevate our husbands. We can't elevate our friends or a social group to a place where they have power over us because we're making an idol. But there's hope. There's hope. We don't have to stay in this place. It's okay. So it can change. Because I believe there's something called a disordered heart. And what I'm going to say, disordered heart, is this. When the order of our affection, our attention, and our actions go to a human idol first. It's like a disorder. It's like our heart isn't in line. And if you've got disorder, if you've got an idol or person, people group that is the one you're craving after more than anything, you're going to be swayed. Because what if they say no? What if they don't ask you on a date? What if you can't make that party? You get FOMO? What if you don't get that promotion? It's like we're moved, we're swayed by these unsteadfast idols. And it puts this disorder, there's no security or peace in our hearts. There's anxiousness because we don't know when someone's next going to let us down or hurt us. But there's order. We can do something of order. Here's the first thing we can do. We can order our affection. You can actually love God first. And the thing with affection, because it's about touch and feelings and emotion and encouragement and words. That's easy in the mortal realm, right? That's easy with your friends and family. But telling God, I'm so in love with you. Lord, you're everything to me. God, thank you for everything you've done. Let me tell you, that kind of affection, that's not a girl thing. That's a son or daughter of God thing. And that's why we battle through in worship. Why? Because it's a display of affection for God. It's God, you mean more. God, you mean everything. God, I love you. And God wants our affectionate. Naomi Kopok did an amazing preach recently in She that you're going to hear in some of the locations. And she said, we're generous to people. Are you generous to God? And it stumped me. Because I find it easy to buy flowers or give cards or send an Instagram. That's easy affection, right? Or cuddle up on the sofa at night. That's easy to be affectionate like that. But God wants our affection. He wants that I love you. My children could be crazy all day, and sometimes they are. But if they just got on my lap and said, I love you, it all disappears. And God's the same. He just wants us to say, I love you. He wants our affection. He's desperate for our hearts and our affection because that's where the idols live. So we start moving our affections to God. We start kicking out these idols because we start to say, God, what you have to say about me means more. The next one is our attention. We give our attention. Take this scenario. Imagine yourself in this scenario. You're walking into some kind of room. Okay, now you can choose who's in that room. Maybe it's family, maybe it's friends, maybe it's work colleagues. I don't know what room you're walking into. Someplace you kind of go often. If you walk in there with a human idol it's likely you're walking in and saying, I want that person's attention. I'm going to do something to get their attention. If you're walking into that room with God as your first, you're going to be asking this, God, where's your attention? And who do you need me to pay attention to? It changes. I had this moment, it was probably about 7 years ago, and some of my mummy friends, we all decided that, hey, let's get together and start doing real life together. Let's stop talking about baby weaning and night feeds, and let's actually ask each other what Jesus is doing in each other's life. We've just finished a friend request series. Go watch it. It's amazing. But I remember driving to Naomi's house and having, honestly, deep insecurities that I wasn't funny enough, I wasn't wise enough, I wasn't cool enough, I wasn't good enough as a mother. I wasn't going to bring the holy here. I didn't really know how to prophesy. And when I went into that environment, I walked into that room wanting attention. I craved human affirmation because those women were idols to me. I still love them and honor. I love and honor them now more than I ever have. But I don't need their attention. And I got in the car on the way home and was like, God, I'm just not good enough for that room. I'm not good enough for those women. I can't do this. They're not friends for me. I don't know who I'm going to hang out with. I haven't got any friends, Jesus. And he was like, Saz, you walk into your social situations wanting people to fix you. You want attention and affection. How about you quit craving value and start giving it? Why don't you walk into your work situation, walk into your family, walk into your college situation, and rather than craving all this attention and affection and affirmation of these humans, why don't you walk into that room and say, God, what are you doing today? Lord, where can I give attention to the lonely? Lord, who's hurting? God, where's the gospel going out? Lord, who do you want me to love and prophesy over? I had gotten so caught up in my own needs that people were my idol instead of God because my action was based on what they could give me, not what God wanted to do in their lives. And you switch and change this. You start putting your action on God's side, and you're going to start seeing God move because God begins to mean more to you, and he begins to be this higher place in you. And I promise you, I want to challenge you this week. Before you walk into some kind of room, some kind of situation, and I want it to be a normal situation that you have. Family, work, education, friends, cafe, whatever, wherever you are in the world, whatever situation you go into, where there is a group of people where previously you would have idolized them, I want you to stop at the door and I want you to say, God, I'm going to give your affection. I'm going to pay attention to what you're doing in this room, and I'm going to obey that rather than being moved by these idols that previously had my attention, previously had my affection, and I'm going to walk into that space and I'm going to give in to that. I'm going to move and I'm going to give. And the third place, and this is an obvious one, right? If God is our first, we're going to do what he says. And that means you quit swearing and you stop your gossip. And you stop trying to wangle the situation so that you'll be leading. And you stop drinking. And you stop making out. Doing things you shouldn't do. Dishonoring your parents. I don't know what your action is, but you're going to have actions that you hand over and allow someone else to control. And here's the thing with Christianity, is we've heard it at the cave, is God is judging our hearts. He's judging what the intentions of our hearts are. And he's looking at our actions and he's saying, do you love me? Are you first in my life? Because there's a call in us to put him first. And I believe we start to order these things, we're taking away a human idol. We're taking the power of the people. Sometimes they want to control us, sometimes they don't. We're taking it off them and we're saying, God, you're in charge. You're who I live for, an audience of one. The thing is, some of the people, I believe that some of us get our attention and our affirmation from, are leaders. They might actually be sharing gospel with you, or scripture, or maybe you do life with them serving in church. There's a difference between honor and worship, and there's a difference between inspiration and idolatry. You can be inspired, you can admire, you can honor leaders in your life. But it's when you start to tip into the need for them or the need for the attention, that's when it starts to be idolatry. So I'm not saying cut away from people completely. Don't do anything that they do. Don't give them any affection. Don't give them any emotion or feeling. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have to do this thing where God's first. And so if there's a disordered heart, I believe there's the opposite. And that's an ordered heart. And I believe an ordered heart is what God calls us to. And it's so simple. God makes it clear. It's called his greatest commandment. And he says this, love the Lord your God with all your heart. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. God's made it clear where our attention, our affection, our affirmation must first lie. He's made it so clear. It's him. He's the one that we need to be in love with. He's the one we need to be thinking about. He's the one that we need to obey, not people. And if we move through to that place, we're moving through to a place of having an ordered and a healthy heart. To finish out, this is one thing that I completely believe for our church, is this. If we love God more, we're going to love people better. Because the thing with an idol is we interact with it. And so if you're in that place where God has the first of your attention, your action, and your affirmation, do you know what? He's going to pour those things into you. God's going to pour his attention upon you. He's watching you and talking to you. God's going to pour his affirmation into you. God's going to pour his affection and his love into you. He's going to teach your actions. And if this is the place we're in, if this is the place we exist, when we love people, we're going to love them the way he loves us. When we're around people, we're going to bring action and change to them as much as we are to our own lives. And God, church, God is desperate to be your first love. And I don't know, for some of us, that might just be an alien concept. And I'm not talking about the sort of romantic, soppy love. I'm talking about the love of a father. And for some of us, we think about God's love as this hard, this soft, gooey, cuddly thing. God fiercely, fiercely loves you. I don't know what job you do. I don't know what things you see, and I don't know what culture you're in or where you serve around the world, but God fiercely, fiercely loves you. And here's the thing with human idols. He wants to deliver us from them. He wants to stop people controlling us, but he also wants us to stop letting people control us because he wants to free us. I believe in every single one of our locations, wherever you are around the world, this is about a personal thing. This is about a heart thing. And as you join in our groups or you chat online now after our event, I believe this is something God wants to do inside our hearts. The thing is with this idol is I really believe we need to talk about it. I believe you really need to talk to someone about it. The thing is with talking about idols is it reveals them and someone can keep you account to it. There are things we need to do to process this kind of challenge. This is called smash the idols, not remove the idols or take the idols down. It's called smash the idols. Because there's this action thing. I just want to challenge you, church. I want to challenge you wherever you are. You've all got a room you walk into. You've all got a space that God's called you into, a group of people, a family, a social group, a work setting. You've all got it. Let's go into that place with God as our first. Because I believe we can change the world when we show it what it means to not be obsessed with each other and obsessed with people and to be obsessed with him.